Hey, boys. This over here. This down here. This here. Maybe I should move this here. This here. This here. Okay. Okay, let's begin, guys. All right, guys, today is going to be a very easy chapter. We're basically going to learn something known as electromagnetic waves. As you can see from the name itself, it is essentially a type of wave with the electric and also magnetic component in it. That's why it's called a electromagnetic wave. Guys, for electromagnetic waves, usually they will propagate, they'll oscillate in two directions. They'll oscillate in the x-axis and they'll also oscillate in the y-axis here. They are essentially perpendicular to each other. So you can imagine like the electric component of the wave will be oscillating like this, right? And then the magnetic component of the wave will be oscillating like this, and it will keep propagating forward. You know, so it's like constantly, I mean, bad hand coordination, right? But you get the idea. Right, this is essentially an electromagnetic wave. For electromagnetic waves, there is 7 electromagnetic waves that you must remember of. They are essentially your radio, micro, infrared. Oh shit, I almost forgot to record. Oh wait, I did. Oh, did I? Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, anyways, like I was mentioning, for electromagnetic waves, guys, there are 7 main waves that you must remember, being radio, micro, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma rays. Now, I know that some schools, they actually open that stupid YouTube video that make you sing along the electromagnetic wave song. Do you guys know about that song? There's a YouTube video to help you remember how to sing the electromagnetic wave. But I personally don't like singing, right? So I'm more of a storyteller, right? And in order to remember the 7 electromagnetic waves, let me share you a very interesting story of mine that happened somewhere around 2016 or 2015. That was when I first graduated, I think. Yes, I recently graduated. So of course, when I recently graduated in university, not recently, that's not the right term. When I graduated in 2015, let's say it was 2016. Okay, so what we did was we wanted to hold a trip to Thailand. You know, we wanted to go to Thailand, but during that time, right, that was the reign of the Najib season, right? And during the reign of the Najib season, you all know what was happening there, right? During Najib's time, Najib, the whole 1MDB scandal siphoned a lot of money out, and now our whole economy was unstable and shit, right? So what happened was our ringgit was dropping like crazy the time. I think that was the lowest point, but now it's at the lowest point yet again. I remember 1 USD was equivalent to RM 4.4 ringgit. Right, and a lot of memes started coming out online and saying that the currency in ringgit is higher than my GPA because GPA can only go to 4.0, right? So what happened was when we visited to Thailand, right? What I did was I actually took $500 because we were quite poor, right? We just finished university. We took $500 and we thought we would go to Thailand and spend some money. This is not including the tickets and accommodation. We just wanted $500 to eat, buy some clothes, and then go have some drinks or whatever, right? So when we had $500 back then, the Thai baht was like roughly Thai baht, roughly around 5,000 Thai baht. Okay, this 5,000 Thai baht was definitely more than enough, right? Because it was just like a 4-day, 3-night stay or 3-day, 2-night stay only, right? So when I reached Thailand, what happened was I actually bought a lot of clothes because the clothes there is damn cheap, you know, and then it's damn nice. Like one piece of clothing was equivalent to 20 ringgit only, which was like Thai baht of 200 Thai baht, right? And then the stuff there were cheap, and then we kept buying and buying. On the first day itself, I already finished the 5,000 Thai baht already because of some cheap shopping, right? And then of course, once I finished shopping, I still needed to eat and I still needed to drink, right? So what I did was I walked into a money exchanger, guys. You know, I walked into the money exchanger, right? And I still had 300 ringgit in my wallet, and I gave them 300 ringgit. I said, hey, I want to change ringgit into Thai baht. And then to the weirdest thing happened to me. Back then, I didn't understand why. when I said I wanted to change ringgit into Thai baht, right? The money exchanger, they said, no, we don't accept ringgit. Then I'm like, what? You know how money exchangers work, right? You guys know how money exchangers work. Basically, we give them a certain amount of money. They will pay us a lower amount than the exchange currency, and whatever difference that is, they will use it, they will take it as profit, right? So if your career is actually taking in money and giving us less to earn a profit, that was the weirdest thing to me. I'm like, why would they not accept our money? Is it like they don't want to do business? Now, when I walked out of the shop, right, I gave it a real long thought, and I'm thinking, why don't they want our money? And it made sense to you. You know why didn't they want our money? They didn't want our money is because our currency was so shit. Every day the currency is fluctuating, not fluctuating, sorry, dropping downwards or fluctuating. It's still like up, down, up, down, up, down. But ours was every day currency is dropping downwards, guys. And because the currency is dropping downwards, right, imagine this. Today, if you're the money exchanger, right? Today, if you take 200 ringgit, let's say you take 300 ringgit, right? Today's value is 300 ringgit. But tomorrow, right, the value because of the currency exchange drop, maybe tomorrow is going to be 290 only. And if the currency continues dropping, maybe the currency value will be like 280 only. And because our currency was so damn shit, right? Even the money exchangers didn't even want our money. And from then onwards, I will always remember this quote, which will help you remember the electromagnetic wave, guys. Ringgit Malaysia is very useless, no good, right? If you can remember this whole story, Ringgit Malaysia is very useless, no good, right? Then you can more or less remember the whole electromagnetic spectrum, really. Okay, the whole electromagnetic spectrum will obviously be radio, right? R, then micro, and then I will be infrared, V will be visible light, U will be UV rays, X is obviously X-rays, and G is going to be gamma rays, guys. Remember this story, guys. Ringgit Malaysia is very useless, no good. Then you can remember the whole spectrum already. All right, or you could, of course, alternatively, if you don't want to remember the story, you can go on YouTube and search for the electromagnetic spectrum song for those who are more creative nature. Right, maybe it's going to be a different sound, but for me it's like this. Okay, so from here, once you understand that there are 7 electromagnetic waves, guys, you must, on top of remembering the names, you must remember the characteristics of each and every one of these electromagnetic waves, guys. First and foremost, let's start with the speed of the electromagnetic wave, guys. If I will ask you to take a wild guess, which one do you think is fastest in terms of the electromagnetic spectrum? Melvin, do you want to take a wild guess? No, you must take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. Tell me. Microwave? Why micro? Why so like you think like shouldn't like the fastest be either this one or this one here instead? Shen, what do you think? Which one do you think is the fastest? Gamma ray? Okay, good. Because it's the furthest one, right? Guys, that was a trick question. Eugen, bloody hell, wake up! Why you should sleep, bro? Just go home lah. Why are you wasting your parents' money, bro? Go home lah. Go home and sleep. Go home and sleep. Bye. I won't stop you. Go on. Bye. You think I'm in school, bro? Go home. Go. Hey, you back. Tell your father that this guy wants to sleep. Don't send him here already. But go. Whatever. Hey, this guy every day coming here to sleep. Help me complain to the mother. If he wants to continue sleeping, just ask him to go home lah. Don't waste time here lah. All right, guys. But anyways, pay attention now. Listen up. For the electromagnetic waves, you know, like we all know the speed of light, right? Speed of light is essentially 3 × 10⁸ meters per second, right, guys? I want you to know that for all electromagnetic waves, guys, they actually all travel at the same speed, meaning to say there is no one that is faster and there is no one that is slower, guys. That's a trick question. All right, pay attention. Electromagnetic waves, all of them travel at the same speed of light, and thus they all travel at the same speed. From here, the next thing is not going to be a trick question. You know, like how we learn in waves, is going to be V equals to F lambda, right? We covered the speed part. Let's cover the wave part first, guys. In terms of the wave part, guys, which one do you think has a greater wavelength? Do you think radio waves has a greater wavelength, or do you think gamma rays have the greatest wavelength? Rachel. Wow, guess. Let's hear it. Which one do you think has the greatest wavelength? Radio waves has the greatest wavelength. Good. Radio waves do actually have the greatest wavelength, and as they go slow, as they go down the spectrum, it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Guys, this is also one of the reasons why gamma rays are so damn dangerous, guys. You know, like, unlike Marvel superheroes, when you're exposed to gamma radiation, you will not turn into the Hulk. You will just go into hell straight away, guys. If you're exposed to gamma radiation, which is a radioactive material, you will die straight away. No, sorry, let me rephrase that. You won't die straight away. You will die a very slow and painful death, because gamma radiation is a form of ionizing radiation, guys. Okay, and because gamma rays, they have such a small wavelength, it is essentially the easiest to penetrate through you. Or you know, like how your mask works right now. Why can we use this mask, and then it's supposed to fight COVID? You know, like the size of a COVID particle is probably this size. I mean, for illustration purposes, your mask, the filters are much smaller than that size, you know. And because the filters are much smaller than this size here, these COVID particles cannot go through your mask, and thus you are safe when you're supposed to wear your mask, right? It is the same exact reasoning here as well, guys. Gamma rays, they are very, very small, right? And it is very easy to penetrate through your skin, guys. And because it is very easy to penetrate through your skin, you will essentially just die or it's so painful there. Okay, from here, you must remember that gamma rays are the smallest in terms of wavelength, and thus it is easiest to penetrate through you, and thus it is the most dangerous. And since we understand that the wavelength decreases, guys, when the wavelength decreases as it goes down the spectrum, then finally it's going to be about your frequency, right? Your frequency here, guys. If we follow back the formula, which we have learned for waves, V is equals to F lambda, right? If I have a decrease in wavelength, what's going to happen to the frequency? Anyone online wants to answer this? Let's see. Caris, do you want to take a wild guess and tell me what's going to happen to the frequency? What's going to happen to the frequency as we go down the electromagnetic spectrum? Do you think it's going to increase, or do you think it's going to decrease? Decreases? No, it's not going to decrease. It's not going to decrease, guys. Think about it this way. If this was constant, right, a decrease in wavelength must increase in frequency. If let's say I put this in numbers, right, guys, we go back into this understanding, guys, V equals to F lambda. If let's say we put this in number, if the speed is the same, let's say 10 and 10 here, right? If my wavelength decreases from 10 to 5, can you see that my frequency actually increases from 1 to 2? And this is the reasoning behind this part here as well, guys. First and foremost, this is mathematics, guys. We know that if the speed is the same, a decrease in the wavelength is actually going to cause my frequency to increase. This is mathematics, right? So from here, if I understand that the wavelength is decreasing as it goes down the spectrum, the frequency actually increases, guys. Do you understand what I'm talking about? This is important, guys, especially when we talk about formulas, or when one thing is constant and they are a multiple of each other, one thing decreases, the other one is going to increase. When the speed is the same for all of them, a decrease in wavelength here is going to cause the frequency to increase here, guys. Very important. Oh my God. Shit. But do you guys understand what I'm talking about? I repeat this, for those who didn't see this. Listen up, when the speed is the same, right? The speed is constant, yes. A decrease in wavelength here, a decrease in wavelength here is actually going to cause my frequency to increase because you can't have both things in decreasing and then the speed is going to be the same, right? Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? Yes, yes. Yes. You then. 醒了吗？醒了吗？ You understand what I'm talking about? Hey, go home lah, you so tired. Go home lah, why are you here, bro? Let's go home. Hey, very important now. Here. Everyone must do this. Grace, you understand what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, everyone online. Yeah. Okay, anyways, looking back into here, guys. Looking back into here, guys. All right. So if you look through the statements here, it will quite make sense, right? TV, radio waves, microwave ovens, and even X-rays are all electromagnetic waves. Electromagnetic waves are propagating waves in space with the electric and also the magnetic component. There is going to be the electric component and also the magnetic component here. These waves oscillate at a right angle to each other. They are going to oscillate at a right angle. Like I said, this one is going to oscillate this way, and this one is going to oscillate this way here, right? Electromagnetic waves, they all have a few key features. They can all travel in vacuum, which makes sense, right, guys? You know, like whenever we talk about the sun, guys, the sun actually emits these three electromagnetic waves, the infra, the visible light, and also the ultraviolet. Infrared is the reason why the sun is so damn hot when you stand under the sun. Visible light is the reason why you can see the light, and ultraviolet ray is the reason why your skin will get cancer when you expose yourself to too much exposure of the sun, guys. You know, like how the Guailos, they always like to go like sunbathing, right? It's actually not so good for your body, especially long hours of exposure, because there's UV rays in them, and thus skin cancer is a real thing, right? They can all travel at the speed of light in a vacuum. Like I mentioned, all of them will travel at the speed of light, which is 3 × 10⁸. They are all, of course, transverse waves here, and they are all transferring energy. And guys, in terms of the electromagnetic waves, guys, I want you to write down somewhere down here, guys. The ringgit Malaysia is very useless, no good. Sorry, right? Oh yeah, you're expected to draw. You don't need to draw so nicely, you can draw like what I drew here. Just oh shit. Yeah, just try to draw the waves. This part here, just draw the wave part is important to me, right? Then after that, you label each and every one of them. Then you know that when you have a decrease, they have a decrease in the wavelength here, you have an increase in frequency, guys. Everyone take 5 minutes to draw this real quick. Then after that, we're going to proceed on, guys. All right, draw this down real quick. Just the wave, the wave is the important part. Because you know that with a decrease in the frequency, decrease in the wavelength, the frequency is actually going to increase. Very good. Hey guys, take 5 minutes to draw this down real quick. You don't have to draw a perfect drawing, guys. Just make sure you draw. Okay. You can tell me why the type and pass every day. Are you actually absorbing? The stuff I'm telling you, bro? Or you know this already? Yeah, I don't think you learned it in 2 years, right? Pay attention, you did.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Just label it on label. You don't have to draw like the green color part, it's just like for illustration. Yeah, like I said, the important part is going to be just the wave. Just draw like this one longer wave and this one here like shorter, like shorter wave here like that. 哎，这样子就可以了，然后就 label 就好了。Ringgit Malaysia is very useless. No good. Say it a few times in head, then you believe it. It's like a proper propaganda here already. Hail Hitler. What's the exchange rate now for ringgit to US? Let me see. I think it's about ×4 so GG. 1 USD to ringgit 4.47. Welcome back to the dark ages. But you know, this only causes the Malaysians, right, to become numb to the political economy. Become so numb. Okay, we quite enable it. I'll move on here. Oh. Okay, done. Right here. Okay, done. Then moving on, these are essentially all the usages of the electromagnetic waves, guys. I want to just quickly give you a brief summary of what you're supposed to know, guys. For radio waves, they are essentially going to be one-way communication, guys. You know, like how when you're sitting in the car, you can hear the radio DJ talking, but the radio DJ will not be able to talk. You will not be able to hear you, right? It's because the radio can transmit signals one way only, guys. Even walkie-talkies that you see from the police, right? It's also one way, and that's why you see always the soldiers when they say finish something, right? They will usually add over and out. Over and out means to say I'm done talking, right? You on the other side can start talking right now. Then when they say over and out, over and out, over and out, over and out. Imagine if both of them were to click and start talking together, right? They won't be able to hear anything at all, guys, because radio waves are one-way communication. Whereas microwaves are two-way communication, guys. Your phone basically uses two-way communication, meaning to say, even if you were to blabber on and on and on about what that girl wore in school, and then you are blabbering on somewhere, blah, 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 right? Both of you guys will still be able to hear each other, guys. Phones use microwave communication, and of course, microwave ovens use microwaves as well, right? Infrared, this one is very important, guys. Whenever you see the word infrared, guys, it is anything related to heat. The reason why your fire is hot is because it has infrared. The reason why the sun is hot is because it's infrared. Anything that is hot is basically emitting infrared radiation, guys. Infrared radiation is responsible for anything that's hot. Visible light is essentially whatever you see, right? Whatever you see right now is all visible light. Ultraviolet is the one that is responsible for skin cancer, but the application of it is going to be for security markings. If you ever paid $100 bills to all the shop owners, right? Sometimes they'll feel a bit sus, and then they'll take that UV ray and scan the $100 bills, right? Have you ever seen those things before or not? No? Never? Okay, let me find it here. UV ray money scanner. You've never seen this thing before? Really? This thing, well, I mean, it's not so chunky lah, but it looks something like this. You know, like when you, God, it's gonna go into Shopee, isn't it?
Oh, it's one of those UV light.
Yeah. It's basically those UV light when you scan the dollar bills. The dollar bills they have this one special ink that is not sold anywhere but to the banks, because this special ink will reflect UV rays to indicate that this is a real dollar bill. If you ever receive a fake dollar bill before, which I have, right? If you scan it with the UV rays, you won't see all the reflection on it. It's because that ink, that reflective ink of the UV rays, right, is only available to the banks. And if you watch the Hong Kong movie, there's this one Hong Kong movie by Chow Yun-fat and Aaron Kwok, they talk about they forged dollar bills, right? They had to rob that moving van just to steal that ink to make these forged dollar bills. If not, it will definitely be fake, right? So this is the reason why, guys, all these UV rays are used to scan the $100 bills. You know, like usually if you know what, when the shop people will start scanning it, like for example, if you buy like a gardenia bread, and then there was one time I didn't have any spare change, then I had $100 only, and I gave him the gardenia bread was $3, and I gave him $100. Usually the scammers, what they'll do is, right, they'll take those fake notes and they'll buy something really cheap, they'll give away the fake money, and they'll change them real money, right? So whenever people they receive $100 bills, right, or $50 for very small items, they'll usually scan the UV thing just to make sure that, oh, this is real, it's not fake. My cousin, he received like a stack of money for rent, right, from this Arabian guy. And this guy was damn smart. In the stack of money, right, there were a few fake $100 bills inside, but you won't like scan one of them because it was a stack of money, right? So he just slides, he quietly slide like 2 or 3 fake $100 bills inside, then you'll never get that money back for sure. Okay, so basically these are basically going to be the UV lights. Is for security markings. Is to detect fake banknotes and also to sterilize usage. You know, during the peak of COVID, Samsung they pushed out this stupid UV sanitizing phone thing, right? I don't know how effective that thing is gonna work, but I don't really believe in it. It's not gonna be that much good. Anyways, moving on. For X-rays, everyone knows about X-rays is to use for medical scanning to check your bones and also for security checks. Like for example, when you go to the airport, then they usually scared you're bringing a gun or whatever big dangerous thing onto the plane. You have to go to the X-ray scans, right? That's for that. And gamma ray is my favorite one of them all. Gamma rays are basically used for detection and treatment of cancer, guys. You know, like how a lot of people, when they get cancer, they start losing their hair, right? It's not the cancer that is causing them to lose their hair. It's usually the chemotherapy that is making them lose their hair. For those who do not know, gamma radiation or cancer treatment, right, is basically like an atomic bomb smashing down to that cancer cell area, you know. Just like how during Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we can't say that you're a good Japanese, you're a bad Japanese, you're a good one, you're a bad one, you're a good one. No, you can't choose that, right? When the atomic bomb hits, everyone dies, right? It's the same thing for these gamma rays as well. If you have cancer cell here, right, the cancer rays will be shot down here, all your cells are going to die. It doesn't matter if it's cancer cell, good cell, bad cell, all will die. And usually people who can't take it, right, they'll start like losing weight, they'll start like losing hair, and then eventually they're going to die. So me personally, I don't believe in cancer treatment. I'd rather be doing something more fun and live the last few moments of my life. But of course, that's up to you, right? And usually most of the time, Asian parents, they won't let you die. Like, I don't care, you don't die yet, you go through the treatment and try every possible way. I had a father's friend, right, whose wife was diagnosed with cancer. This guy, wow, he spent so much money on her, right, for treatment and everything, and then they still die. I think he easily spent like 500,000. By the way, cancer treatment is not cheap, guys. Cancer treatment is one of the most expensive treatments there is. But anyway, they still die. So the iron, you lose money, you lose the wife, and then you have to put your wife through a long term of suffering, probably six months to a year suffering. I personally don't believe in cancer treatment, but maybe later on the technology is going to improve. Yeah, but anyways, for gamma rays, cancer treatment is the most common one. It is also used to sterilize food and medical equipment, guys. You know, like how the surgeons, when they cut open one guy, then they'll use the same blade to cut another guy, right? Usually they won't just cut here and then straight away cut here, right? They'll cut this guy, sterilize it using gamma rays. They'll have a machine, you put the thing in, they'll beam down all the gamma rays, sterilize the whole thing, and it's fully safe. Then they'll cut the next guy again, right? So this is usually for medical equipment and food. I've never seen the food before, but medical equipment I've known, right? Okay, so these are the basic usages of your EMWs, guys, your electromagnetic waves, guys. You must know all of these. At least you have a rough idea of what's going on, at least. Okay, any questions for this part here before I move on? Anyone? Good, 100% absorption rate, just what I like. And then these are just the basic usages of each and every one of these things. So if we talk about dangers of electromagnetic waves, guys, X-rays are the most common. You know, like the most common memes that you see online, they say that, I always see this meme online, guys. They say that if X-rays are so safe, why don't the doctors stay in the X-ray room when you conduct? You know, like have you guys done X-ray scans before? Have you guys ever done X-ray scans before? There'll be like an isolated room with the X-ray machine. Then the doctors will tell you that it's safe, don't worry, but they will walk out of the room, then turn on the thing. You know, a lot of Americans say that it's a conspiracy, right? And they say that it's the government trying to, these fuckers again, right? You know, all this kind of shit. But I tell you, this is absolutely the most dumb thing you can hear on the internet, guys. X-rays are absolutely safe for you. For anyone who have ever done an X-ray before, X-rays, guys, are usually very fast on. If you ever done X-ray before, they'll do it in less than 5 seconds. When I did the chest scan for Australia, whatever, I can't remember what reason it was, I had to do a chest X-ray scan. The X-ray is like, then it's done already. That's it, right? We are safe because we are only exposed to it for a maximum of 5 seconds only. It's not going to kill you. But imagine if every time you go for X-ray and say, hey, doctor, hold my hand, I'm scared. Right, you know how the doctor will die? Every time he holds his hand, right? One patient 5 seconds, another patient 5 seconds, another patient 5 seconds. The whole day he'll be exposed to hours and hours of X-ray. By the next day he'll be dead already. Right. So it's not about the dangers of it, it's about the exposure time of the X-rays, guys. It's very important. You must know this. Is the reason why the doctors walk out of the room is because they cannot expose themselves to each and every one of the patients here. Right. And so from that, you know, the X-rays are used by radiographers, the guys that check your bones are in hospitals to check for broken bones. X-rays can pass through easily through flesh, but are absorbed by denser materials such as bone and metal. That's why if you ever seen an X-ray before, right, usually the bone is white color, everything else is black color, right? It's not because the bone is white color here, it's because the X-ray did not pass through the bone. That's why that film, right, did not absorb any of it. That's why it's still going to be transparent, right? X-rays are also used for airports to check for contents in your bag. Everyone knows this stuff, right? Yeah. Then the next part here is basically the microwaves. Microwaves are used to send signals between mobile phones, right? Like I mentioned, microwaves are two-way communication, guys. Usually satellites they are using microwaves, right? You know, even for all these telecommunication and everything, right? They are always going to use microwaves because you need to not only receive signal, they need to send signals as well, receive and send. So usually it's microwaves. Microwaves are used to send signals between mobile masses. Communication between satellites is mainly through microwaves. Some phones use very low orbital artificial satellites, while some broadcast satellite television use geostationary satellites, guys. For those who do not know, geostationary are basically the satellites that rotate around as the Earth spins. That's what we call geostationary. So if I'm standing on this part of the Earth, you guys know, right, about geostationary satellites. Have you guys learned this before? You know the Earth is basically going to rotate every day, right? And because of that, if I have a satellite here, when it rotates, right, the satellite will continue moving into different spots. They will keep rotating into different spots here. So if let's say I'm standing on here, right, as the Earth rotates, I'll always see the satellite above. You won't see it, right? It's in space, but the satellite is always above you, right? Those are what we call geostationary satellites. As the Earth rotates, your satellite is going to rotate exactly with the same speed, so it's going to always be on top of you. You guys know what I'm talking about? Right? Those are basically geosatellites. Right? And then, oh shit, where was I? Yeah. Then finally, when you make phone calls on a mobile phone, your phones are supposed to emit microwave radiation. Some of it is absorbed by our body and may cause heating of your tissue. Guys, for anyone that has like a very old uncle or grandfather, which is a businessman, like last time the businessman, the phone is like the size of this bottle. When they go to the coffee shop, right, the coffee tiam, they put the phone onto the table like this, right? And then it's damn cool because a phone last time cost the price of a house, guys. A phone cost the price of a house. Anyone that can buy a phone and put it on the table of that coffee shop, right, indicates that this guy is bloody hell rich. So but then the problem was, right, because technology was so bad last time, the microwaves that were emitted to the phone, right, is usually emitted to your ear. That's why you see all the old businessmen, right, usually they're deaf in one ear. I know of an uncle last time, which was a neighbor. He used to talk on the phone every day, and because he's a businessman, right, he needs to communicate with supplier and everything, right? Right, eventually one ear goes deaf already because the microwave is constantly being emitted to the eardrum, right? I think some of you guys may know one of the uncle that is deaf in the ear, usually for businessmen. But nowadays the technology has improved dramatically. Like right now, our iPhones and everything, right? They have this filter here. There's this filter mesh on top here, right? That kind of reduces a lot of microwave radiation. But I know for a fact that the new generation, you guys don't like to talk on the phone. You guys a bit shy, right? So you like to text. How are you doing? What are you doing? That kind of stuff, right? Is the new generation, right? But hey, last time before then, you had to do the stupid dial thing. For those of you watch the older movies, you have to go to the phone booth and dial, and then you call your girlfriend. Hey, that kind of stuff, right? That's the olden days. Probably your parents are that generation, right? You go ask your parents last time, how do you go call the mother? You say that, did you go to the phone? Hey, this kind of stuff. Very normal, right? But that's the older generation. Okay, and this because of the microwave emitting a lot, right? What's going to happen is it's going to result in possible cancer to your eardrums. So minimize the amount of time on the phone. Okay, then the final part here is basically understanding what a digital and analog signal is, guys. An analog signal are basically things that can vary between 0 to 1 to it basically like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They'll have different ranges, right? They'll be like, let's say 0 is here, right? It'll be like 1, 2, 3. And then this will be like -1, -2, -3 here, right? These are what we call the analog signals, guys. It has a variety of signals. But for digital signals, which is usually what we do now, which is, like how you guys learn about computer science, right? It's either going to be zeros and ones right now, right? The zeros and ones are the one that compose the whole internet and just sending signals, right? These are basically the main difference. The very common difference between analog signals and digital signals are basically like your voltmeters. Last time, I think you guys still use this. The analog voltmeters, they'll have a needle here, then they can point to 1 to 2 to 3, then they can point to -1, -2, -3, right? The analogs are going to analog voltmeters, they can swing left and right one. But right now, usually for the more advanced laboratories, they don't use these analogs anymore. They use the digital signals instead. So you're basically just going to see like a digital sign on the voltmeter only. You won't see the needle anymore. Okay. But anyways, looking at these statements here, the major difference between both signals is that the analog signals have a continuous electrical signal. Like I mentioned, it can go from 0, 1, 2, 3 or 0, -1, -2, -3 here. while the digital signals are non-continuous electrical signals. It's either going to be zeros or ones only. It's either going to be zeros or ones only. Sound can be transmitted through analog or digital signals, obviously. All these things here, guys, these phones are the real reason why they are expensive is because they can convert sound energy into electrical energy signals, right? Then these electrical signals are basically beamed to the satellite. Then the satellite is going to beam it down to your phone, which will then convert the electrical signal to sound. That's why you can hear someone talking on the phone, guys. It's definitely not transmitting the sound only, guys. The sound is not going to go in and then transfer all the way. It's sound into electrical signals, then electrical signals back into sound. That's why you can hear the people talking, guys. Sound can be transmitted through analog or digital signals. Digital signaling is used to increase the rate of transmitted data, okay? This is to increase the range due to accurate signal regeneration. So basically, if you look here, this is basically the original pulsar. Usually if we just transmit it over a far range, some data and some signal will be lost. So it's like crooked already, right? But usually we'll try to amplify this information because it has to travel a very far distance. So when we amplify it, we see that the amplitude actually increases. But this is nowhere near the real thing, right? So what we do is we regenerate the sound as well. We regenerate it through AI and technology, right? What's going to happen is this is the resulting pulse. And at the end, when we restore it, guys, when we restore it, most of the signals are there already. If you ever use like the older communication technology like Skype, right? Do you guys even know what Skype is? You guys ever use Skype before? Last time Skype, the signal is very bad, right? It's terrible, like crazy. Every time you can't hear, and then you can hear some distortion, and then there's always going to be signal cuts. It's because the technology is not so good yet. But right now with Zoom and everything, right, most of the time the signals are very good already, because not only do they amplify the signal, they will also regenerate the signal so that whatever I say here, right, it will be restored back to wherever you are. Like for example, Leo here is in KK Sabah, right? You won't have any problem as long as your internet connection is good. It's because the signals are being amplified and also regenerated to the original sound. Okay, but these are basically the simple things that you're supposed to know. Okay, guys. Anyone's got any questions with this part here? Anyone's got any burning question that they would like to be answered? Anything related to this? Oh, this. Good morning, sunshine. All right. Okay. If you have no questions, right? You see all these questions at the bottom here? This is essentially going to be your homework, guys. Finish everything. We'll discuss the answers next week. It's a very short chapter only, guys. This one is a very easy and short chapter. Oh shit. Yeah. Do everything as homework and start attempting it right now, guys. I have 12 more minutes of your time. Start doing it right now. Amplification 是它会把这个signal 用不一样的signal 可是大一点，你看，它现在这里可以 amplify 的signal，amplify 的signal 可是这个也 nowhere near the original signal, right? So what they do is they regenerate it as well. They regenerate 他们用 AI technology 来它会把这个东西变回这个东西呢。Regenerating back to the original signal. 需要，因为它 amplify 的话，很难用到的。可是要 exactly 是怎么样的不知道啊。就这个就是这个。这个是一个步骤，这个是一个步骤，他们不一样的。这个 step 是 amplification 吧，这个是第一个 step amplify。平常真正的他们 combine 这两个东西。So they will amplify and they will regenerate. Oh, in both a few pages, I mean the pages that you're sharing right now is not in there. Hard copy and the question starts from. Really? Oh my god. Yeah, Raj, for your case, right? I think you'll have to refer to the digital copy that I sent on the group. Maybe can you print out the missing pages? The whole thing is missing. This whole page is missing. Oh, yeah, I think if that's the case, I'll voice this out to my printing guy, but for your case, you'll have to print out yourself for this one here. Where is the soft copy? Nani? I sent it to the group chat. I even reminded last night. Okay, let me highlight it again, Raj. Here. A parabolic reflector is basically parabolic shape, which is like a cone thing, but there's reflectors in it, like a mirror in it. That's not the answer, by the way. It's not the answer, by the way. It's not. It is your hand, bro. Bro, a parabolic reflector is like the things that like these things are called a parabolic. You see, like this is a lamp, right? Then behind there's mirrors behind them, right? Those are what we call the parabolic reflectors, is to amplify the what? These things are the these things are what we call the parabolic. You see or not? This thing on top, the mirror things are. These are what we call the parabolic. Even the cars that have parabolic reflectors on. Yeah. It's not infrared, it's internal energy.
You have infrared or
Oh, it's a form of radiation. You'll learn that later on in chapter 5. But for now, ignore it. It's definitely not the answer.
Oh, Eugene, are you done already? Show me your work and see. Let me see how many you got it right. Funny one. Do your calculation, bro. Yeah, very great. Great for you. What's your reward? What's your reward? Huh? Who's gonna give it? You. No. If it's so great, where?
What?
Oh, that's not mine. Refracts the furthest is red color, man. What did I talk to you about for the
red
prism?
one is red to
The original white light, then the first one is going to be red, right?
Yeah.
Then the last one is going to be violet,
Oh,
right?
it's asking from the angle is red.
No, the furthest one from the original light, which is not red for sure.
Bro, because it's just further sort of like, if it was reflected at an angle, like red would be.
No, even if you're talking about the angle, the violet one has the greatest angle of refraction.
Yeah, but refracted. After refracted,
Oh, do you circle red as well?
no, because like, okay, dude,
Look here, just look here, okay? Look here.
no, by refracted, like, I was thinking like after refraction.
Yeah, which is still going to be the violet.
Farthest right after refraction.
Yeah, which is still going to be the violet one.
Not my favorite, but I think it's not my favorite.
It's here, right?
Yeah, okay. No. Let's say you practice on like a thing right here. I thought asking after refraction, so this would travel the farthest compared to.
No, they all travel the same distance.
No,
They're all light.
This okay. You put it on top table. Okay, this is the table. Which one hits like the shortest distance? Violet.
Oh, you're talking about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, that doesn't work like that, bro.
Bro, answer the question better.
Speed of light should extend about bands of original order increasing wavelength group. Wow, not bad. Actually, you can answer everything.
It's theory.
Should be in order of increasing frequency, radio. Okay. Do your calculation. Good detector. This is definitely not like, you know what's a Geiger-Müller, by the way? A Geiger-Müller is something they use to detect radiation. But you haven't done that yet. So it's definitely not.
I just saw Geiger, like, oh, Geiger counter,
Yeah, which is for radiation.
Yes, don't they all have radiation?
What the hell? No.
They all
Like,
do. What the hell are you talking about?
when I talk about radiation, I'm
What?
talking about alpha, beta, and
You want the monitor?
no.
What the hell would you use to photograph film?
Photographic film is the X-ray thing, bro. You know, like a film that you use for X-ray, the black, white color thing. That's called a
A guy
photographic
doesn't
film.
do the same because he's not very ready.
No.
No.
What are you telling me I don't know my stuff?
That's really smart.
Why don't I pay you for physics then? How to microwave different?
I don't know.
And yeah, you actually got Eugene, you know what's the biggest problem with you? I'll tell you this, okay, which is usually the most common problem. I won't say you're lazy. You're smart, but you're fucking lazy, not just lazy, bro. That's the most common problem with the smarter kids, you know. You know the word. It's okay, right? If you're dumb, right, and then you don't know it. But the problem is, you actually know how to do most of these questions here, but you are giving like almost close to zero effort to do the things in class, bro. That's like
why would you want to
the worst case scenario. Yeah, finish everything else, What?
Because the lane.
Okay, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Please finish up the homework from the whole exercise, guys. We'll discuss answers next week. Now we'll move on to the final chapter, which is sound wave. Then after that, we're going to move on to electricity already, guys. We are going to move on to electricity after this already. All right, that'll be it for today, guys. I'll see you all next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.